More and more Americans, as of right now, are deeply concerned with the direction that the U.S. economy is headed. And for good reason. Prices continue to go up, wages are not keeping up with inflation, and everything, again, is putting more pressure on the average family. Now, today I want to explain this cost of living crisis that we're currently dealing with, why many Americans are frustrated with the current administration, and what more and more Americans are doing. Just a little warning though, it involves a bankruptcy. So I'm going to get to this in just a moment, explain what's happening, and some of these questions you may be having as well. So I'm going to break all this down in just a moment, but first, all I ask is one thing, takes 2 seconds, go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates, and now let's begin. So yes, this is true. Americans are considering bankruptcy, and this is reaching the highest level since the pandemic. It says bankruptcy inquiries are still way down from the 2008 financial crisis. However, we're starting to tick back up where now households are concerned that they will not be able to afford the bare essentials if they don't get out of debt and potentially file bankruptcy. Now, we're going to read this article together in just a moment, but first, I want you to look at this. This is what everybody was concerned with. Working people placed the cost of living as a top concern in the U.S. election. This article was from October 28th of 2024. So, several months ago, this was right before millions of Americans elected President Donald Trump as the next president of the United States, or now current president, and many Republicans to lead the House and the Senate. Well, some are saying that it's still too early to tell, but others are saying that they may have made the wrong decision. Here's what I can tell you. It doesn't matter which administration was in, whether it was going to be the Trump administration or the Harris administration. But what we are now realizing is that everything was going to go up. And it's not because of just what President Trump and the Trump administration are doing today, but also because all the policies and everything that happened over the past several months. Now, here's the reason I'm bringing this to your attention. We are going to see prices go up. The economy has been booming for far too long, and we are expected to dip into recession. If we do, that's going to mean more layoffs. Businesses are going to close. Prices will probably go down eventually, but that just means we're not spending money. There's some economic decline there. Now, all of these things combined, where prices continue to rise, your job is not as secure as you once thought it was, and you may see your wages get reduced or your hours get cut. Yeah, those things are going to hurt you financially. This is why more and more Americans are considering bankruptcy. Let's read this together. It says right here, there are more Americans considering filing for bankruptcy than since the pandemic, following debt and tariffs reaching new heights. It says an index from legal service provider Legal Shield reached a level of 36.4% in the first quarter of 2025, compared with the previous highest level of 42.2% in the first quarter of 2020. Okay, you can see it right here. Okay, this is the first quarter of 2020 is right here, right? Again, this is concerning. Right? More people are considering filing for bankruptcy. Goes on to say, the index is based on a survey of more than 35 million legal requests. So still, the index is way down from the bankruptcies during the 2008 financial crisis. You can see it right there. Okay, so obviously this is the financial crisis, right? We're starting, here we go, and it peaked 111, 112.9, right? We're still far away from that. But here's the problem, okay, with what's going on right now. First off, the bankruptcies are now just starting, and the reason for this is, and a lot has to do with student loan debt, because people that had student loan debt, they had this kind of on-ramp period for 1 year. It ended on September 30th of 2024. So as of October 1st, 2024, that's when the first payments they need to be made. But for a lot of these loans, for a lot of these lenders, they required that, yeah, you make the payments, but if you didn't make the payments within 90 days, no big deal, but then it's going to hit your credit report. Then we're going to start to demand it, right? And now we're starting to see where more and more Americans realize that this ended, and now they have to make the payments. I want to read this to you. Look at this right here. It says, consumer bankruptcy concerns are rising, not because of short-term volatility, but due to sustained financial pressure on household budgets. It says a combination of high debt, costly mortgages, tariffs, and a weakening housing market are driving Americans to consider filing for bankruptcy. Keep in mind, you don't just file for bankruptcy just because you got a little debt, right? You got a $2,000 credit card, you file for bankruptcy. No, you don't do that, okay? You usually file for bankruptcy because you have so much debt. Credit card debt here in the United States is over $1 trillion combined. That's the highest we've ever been. Household debt is just sky high as well. But let's keep reading this. It says the share of households with more than 90 days late on credit cards and car loans hit a 14-year high at the end of 2024. That's according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. He says the delinquencies are still climbing. Credit card balances hit a record high of $1.21 trillion. It says when inflation remains high and credit tightens, bankruptcy becomes the last resort for more and more households. Job growth has been strong and tax refunds have been higher in 2025, but rising prices from tariffs may lead to more bankruptcies. And that's true. Yes, we may see more bankruptcies because of tariffs, but at the same time, what's also happening, and keep this in mind, people have put themselves into these positions. You bought a home that you technically couldn't afford. You're somewhat house poor. You bought a car, and I talked about this just the other day. You bought a car, and that car on average is costing about $800 a month for the car payment. And then you got maintenance, you got fuel, and on top of that, you have insurance. All those things combined puts you up well over $1,000 a month for a car, for a depreciating asset. That's a problem. It goes on to say, tariffs are amplifying that pressure by driving up costs on everything from food to construction materials. But keep this in mind. You are not going to file for bankruptcy if you are thinking about buying a home. You're thinking about buying a car. It's because you already bought a home and you can't afford it. You already bought a car and you can't afford it. You have all this credit card debt. You have medical bills. You have student loan debt, right? Maybe you have personal loans. All those things combined are making it difficult just to live, just to buy the bare necessities. And I bring this up again because this is exactly what lawmakers are looking at. This is what the Trump administration is saying. We need to provide for those that were hardest hit. We need to provide for those that were in the service industry, that get paid in tips, that get paid overtime income, and those that are on a fixed income. Okay, so that means the eliminating the taxes or income tax on Social Security income and benefits, that's already in the works. They're talking about that. And again, I bring this up because so many people are asking, well, what about stimulus? What about those $5,000 stimulus checks? Here's what I can tell you. The $5,000 stimulus checks are not coming. We're not going to see $5,000. Could it be far less than that? Yeah, it could. Am I going to bank on that? No. Simply because, as of right now, the United States government has other priorities, not giving up to $5,000 to the American people that paid the taxes. That's not one of their priorities. And again, I know it's been talked about, some people even promise it's coming. Even the president himself can promise it's coming. It doesn't mean it will. It still has to pass through the House and the Senate. And as of right now, there's just not enough votes to get that passed. But what they do have votes on, what they do have support is relief. Okay? Decreasing taxes for millions of people. This is overtime income, tips, Social Security benefits. That's one of the things that they want to do. They want to enhance the tax cuts. Okay, the SALT tax deduction, which is mainly going to benefit the wealthier individuals, but it still will help. Okay, it's still there. They want to do that. They want to keep the child tax credit at $2,000. Some are saying, no, we need to increase it. Let's bring it to $3,000 or $3,600 like we did back in 2021 and 2022. Let's give the American people what they need to survive. So, here's what I can tell you. There is a cost of living crisis here in the United States. It's only getting worse. Some want to file for bankruptcy because they know they cannot continue on the same road. They own the same path where they don't have enough money at the end of the month to put food on the table. That's a concern. So we're going to see what happens moving forward. The one thing I can tell you right now, yes, we are seeing the desire to file for bankruptcy continues to go up simply because the cost of goods, services, food, everything's going up. But here's what I can tell you. Based off of what we're hearing from many experts, multiple economists, they expect and they're anticipating prices are going to gradually go up as a result of tariffs and some other issues that we're facing. But eventually, and we don't know if this will be in a month or 3 months, 6 months, and in 3 years, we don't know, but eventually the prices will start coming back down. We will see wages go up and the prices will start coming back down on everyday goods. That's what we're waiting for. So just take your time, be patient, and understand this is a painful time in the U.S. economy, but once we get through this, we will be fine. So if you have any questions on any of this stuff, please ask your questions down in the comment section below, but that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.